It went live. It's insane. Okay, let me end this live stream so I can go to the other one. I can't believe it went live. Like, that's crazy. I got two live streams on YouTube at the same time. I've never done that. All right, let me end this one. I'll see you on the other one. It's great. Can't believe they did that. Mm-hmm. While I wait for him to get here, I'm gonna get my drink and everything set up. So let me get my drink. All right, Gordon, I see you. Let me send you this. Hold on, let's see. How do I invite? Right here. In case you wanted to join me so you don't have to I don't have the stream up. Nah, you good. Here you go. I'm gonna send it to you. There you go. Um while I wait for you to get here, I'm gonna go get my drink and I'll be right back. Do I need anything else? Whatever else I gotta do, I'll be right back. Good. All right, man. Give me a moment. I'm coming. Hold on.
No worries.
All right, man. Give me a moment. I'm coming. Hold on. All right, I'm ready, man. What's going on?
Nothing much yourself?
Nothing, man. Just kicking games to the curb on some biblical spiritual conversations. Can you hear me good? Do I need to move my microphone closer or what?
I can hear you perfectly. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Not sure how exactly we want to do this. I didn't have much time to prepare at all.
Yeah.
The one contradiction I was looking at, this is years ago. I was looking at the timeline between Matthew and John, in particular, between the Last Supper and his resurrection. But I went onto Reddit quickly, and they've actually got a list of contradictions if you want to go through them. I don't know how you want to do this. It's up to you.
That sounds cool. We can do that. I can. Do you want me to share the screen and read the scriptures as you give them to me, or do you want to share your own screen and you read from how you want to do it, which
I
is
don't mind.
easier for you?
I think it's going to be easy for you to set it up on your side. Maybe read it
Okay.
from your side.
All right. Let me get it ready. You just let me know like what chapter and verse to go to, and I'll go wherever you say go.
Cool.
Okay, I got it set up. Just let me know when you want me to pull up a certain, scripture and all that.
Okay, as I said, I didn't really prepare, but I think the first, if you want, we can run through the Last Supper. So let's start Matthew 26.
Okay.
Let me just get my things correct here.
Matthew 26. All right, I'm there.
Am I in the right place? Let me just see. There we go. Okay, so it's from verse 17.
Oh, 17. Is that the main verse or?
It's from there. We'll be reading from there.
Okay.
So this is just to set up the timeline. Okay, so I'm going to start reading. On the first day
right.
of the festival of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Where do you want us to make the preparations to eat the Passover?" So this is already a bit of a weird thing because, as far as I understand, if we read in Leviticus 23, it says that the Passover is first, and then the first day of unleavened bread actually kicks off the next day. So that's a bit weird. Hold up, my
You
alarm's
said
going
if
off.
we read it where?
In Leviticus 23.
Oh, okay. Because I ain't know what I heard you say 3, but I ain't know if you was talking about verse 3 in Matthew where we're at, or I ain't know. I ain't hear that part.
Leviticus 23 is where we find the order of Passover and the unleavened bread festival. So that was already a bit of a weird thing, but let's move on.
Wait,
Because it says
what's
here,
weird?
it says, on the first day of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Where do you want us to make preparations to eat the Passover?" So that technically that should have taken place already if they're on the first day of unleavened bread. So it's a bit odd. I've got an explanation of why I think this is, but we can move on for now. I'll get back to that when we get to that the actual contradiction. Okay. He replied, "Go to the city to a certain man and tell him, the teacher says, my appointed time is near. I am going to celebrate Passover with my disciples at your house." So the disciples did as Jesus had directed them and prepared the Passover. When evening came, Jesus was reclining at the table with the 12, and while they were eating, he said, "Truly, I tell you, one of you will betray me." They were very sad and began to say to him, one after the other, "Surely you don't mean me, Lord." Jesus replied, "The one who has dipped his hand into the bowl with me will betray me. The Son of Man will go just as it is written about him. But woe to that man who betrays the Son of Man. It would be better for him if he had not been born." Then Jesus, the one who would betray him, said, "Surely you don't mean me, Rabbi." Jesus answered, "You have said so." Uh, While they were eating, Jesus took the bread,
Yeah.
and when he had given thanks, he broke it and gave it to his disciples, saying, "Take and eat. This is my body." Then he took a cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them, saying, "Drink from it, all of you. This is my blood of the covenant,
Oh,
which
my
is
bad.
poured out for many." Yes, again?
I thought you was reading from my screen because it was covering up something.
Oh, no. Where am I now? Blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins. I tell you, I will not drink from this fruit of the vine from now on until the day when I drink it new with you in the Father's kingdom. When they had sung a hymn, they went out to the Mount of Olives. Okay, let me see. Jesus predicts Peter's denial. Then Jesus told them, "This very night you will all fall away on account of me, for it is written, I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock will be scattered. But after I have risen, I will go ahead of you into Galilee." Peter replied, "Even if all fall away on account of you, I will never." "Truly I tell you," Jesus answered, "this very night before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times." But Peter declared, "Even if I have to die with you, I will never disown you." And all the other disciples said the same. Then Jesus went with his disciples to the place called Gethsemane, and he said to them, "Sit here while I go over there to pray and pray." He took Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee along with him, and he began to be sorrowful and troubled. Then he said to them, "My son is overwhelmed with sorrow. My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me." Going a little further, he fell with his face to the ground and prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me. Yet not all as I will, but as you will." Then he returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. "Couldn't you men keep watch with me for 1 hour?" he asked Peter. "Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." He went away a second time and prayed, "My Father, if it is possible for this cup to be taken away, my Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless I drink it, may your will be done." When he came back, he again found them sleeping because their eyes were heavy. So he left them and went away once more and prayed a third time, saying the same thing. Then he returned to his disciples and said, "Are you still sleeping and resting? Look, the hour has come. The Son of Man is delivered into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us go. Here comes the betrayer." So I thought this passage was shorter for some reason. I'm going
Wait,
to
you
carry
said
on reading, but while I'm reading, do you mind just finding the corresponding passage for John in terms of the timeline? Then we can start mapping out the timeline. I'm going to continue while you do that, if you don't mind.
so. What verse did you just read?
I just finished 45.
And you said that one was shorter for some reason.
No. I remembered it being shorter for some reason, but don't worry about it.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's John 13, but you'll have to just double check that.
I see John 18. I don't know about 13.
John 18. No, I'm not talking about the betrayal. I'm talking about the whole timeline. I think it starts at John 13, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check that. Because I want to go from the Feast of Passover right to the resurrection.
What is the contradiction?
The timeline. There was an issue with the timeline.
So this, I see it, John 13:36. So is it just the part where it says, Jesus foretells Peter's denial?
No, it's before that. It starts in the beginning of John 13. So it starts from there. But I still need to get to the rest of Matthew to try and figure out the rest of the timeline. So far on the timeline, we've got Matthew saying on the first day of unleavened bread, and then that evening they're eating Passover, which means there's a contradiction already in terms of the Levitical or the feasts in Leviticus 23.
So where are we at, Matthew?
Well, Matthew 26 was the original one that we were looking at.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to continue reading from verse 46. Sorry, 47 of Matthew 26. While he was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, arrived. With him was a large crowd armed with swords and clubs, sent from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now the betrayer had arranged a signal with them. The one I kiss is the man. Arrest him. Going at once to Jesus, Judas said, "Greetings, Rabbi," and kissed him. Jesus replied, "Do what you came for, friend." Uh, then the men stepped forward, seized Jesus, and arrested him. With that, one of Jesus' companions reached for his sword, drew it, and struck the servant of the Most High, cutting off his ear. Sorry, of the high priest. Put your sword in its place, Jesus said to him, for all who drew the sword will die by the sword. Draw the sword will die by the sword. So I can't read this morning. Do you think I cannot call on my Father, and he will at once put at my disposal more than 12 legions of angels? But how then would the scriptures be fulfilled that say it must happen in this way? In that hour, Jesus said to the crowd, "Am I leading a rebellion that you have come out with swords and clubs to capture me? Every day I sat in the temple courts teaching, and you did not arrest me. But this has..." Say again?
I'm not go ahead. I was just pulling up my YouTube channel.
Okay.
And it was repeating everything you said.
Okay. Where am I now? Did not arrest me. But this has all taken place that the writings of the prophets might be fulfilled. Then all the disciples deserted him and fled. Those who had arrested Jesus took him to Caiaphas the high priest, where the teachers of the law and the elders had assembled. But Peter followed him at a distance, right up to the courtyard of the high priest. He entered and sat down with the guards to see the outcome. The chief priests and the whole Sanhedrin were looking for the false evidence against Jesus so that they could put him to death. But they did not find any, though many false witnesses came forward. Finally, two came forward and declared, "This fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of God and rebuild it in 3 days." Then the high priest stood up and said to Jesus, "Are you not going to answer? What is this testimony that these men are bringing against you?" But Jesus remained silent. The high priest said to him, "I charge you under oath by the living God. Tell us if you are the Messiah, the Son of God." "You have said so," Jesus replied. "But I say to all of you, from now on you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the Mighty One and coming on the clouds of heaven." Then the high priest tore his clothes and said, "He has spoken blasphemy. Why do we need any more witnesses? Look, now you have heard the blasphemy. What do you think?" "He is worthy of death," they answered. Then they spit in his face and struck him with their fists. Others slapped him and said, "Prophesy to us, Messiah. Who hit you?" Now Peter was sitting in the courtyard, and a servant girl came to him. "You also were with Jesus of Galilee," she said. But he denied it before him. "I don't know what you're talking about," he said. Then he went out to the gateway, where another servant girl saw him and said to the people, "This fellow was with Jesus of Nazareth." He denied it again with an oath. "I don't know him, or I don't know the man." After a little while, those standing there went up to Peter and said, "Surely you are one of them. Your accent gives you away." Then he began to call down curses and swore to them, I don't know the man. Immediately a rooster crowed. Then Peter remembered the words that Jesus had spoken. Before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times. And he went outside and wept bitterly. Um, right. Early in the morning, all the chief priests and the elders. This is Matthew 27. Early in the morning, all the chief priests and the elders of the people made their plans how to have Jesus executed. So they bound him, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate, the governor. When when Judas, who had betrayed him, saw that Jesus was condemned, he was seized with remorse and returned the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and the elders. I have sinned, he said, for I have betrayed innocent blood. What is that to us? They said. That's your responsibility. So Judas threw the money into the temple and left. Then he went away and hanged himself. The chief priests picked up the coins and said, It is against the law to put this into the treasury, since it is blood money. So they decided to use the money to buy the potter's field as a burial place for foreigners. That is why it has been called the field of blood to this day. Then what was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet was fulfilled. They took the 30 pieces of silver, the price set on him by the people of Israel, and they used them to buy the potter's field, as the Lord commanded me. Meanwhile, meanwhile he was accused. Meanwhile, Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, Are you the king of the Jews? You have said so, Jesus replied. When he was accused by the chief priests and the elders, he gave no answer. Then Pilate asked him, Don't you hear the testimony they are bringing against you? But Jesus made no reply, not even to the single charge, to the great amazement of the governor. Now it was the governor's custom at the festival to release a prisoner chosen by the crowd. At that time, they had a well-known prisoner whose name was Jesus, Barabbas. So when the crowd had gathered, Pilate asked them, Which one do you want us to release to you, Jesus Barabbas or Jesus who is called the Messiah? For he knew it was out of self-interest that they had handed Jesus over to him. While Pilate was sitting on the judge's seat, his wife sent him this message: Don't have anything to do with the innocent man, for I have suffered a great deal today in a dream because of him. But the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowd to ask for Barabbas and to have Jesus executed. Which of the two do you want me to release to you? Asked the governor. Barabbas, they answered. What shall I do, then, with Jesus who is called the Messiah? Pilate asked. They all answered, Crucify him. Why? What crime has he committed? Asked Pilate. But they shouted all the louder, Crucify him. When Pilate saw that he was getting nowhere, but that instead an uproar was starting, he took water and washed his hands in front of the crowd. I am innocent of this man's blood, he said. It is your responsibility. All the people answered, His blood is on us and on our children. Then he released Barabbas to them, but he had Jesus flogged and handed him over to be crucified. Then the governor's soldiers took Jesus into the praetorium and gathered the whole company of soldiers around him. They stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him, and then twisted together a crown of thorns and set it on his head. They put a staff in his hand, and then knelt in front of him and mocked him. Hail, King of the Jews, they said. They spit on him and took
Hold on,
the
Gordon, hold
staff.
on. Shouldn't we pause and go to the other part and read from that to see the connections or so-called contradictions? Because if we keep going, we're not going to be able to remember every single thing And like, so let's say you finish, right? And then we go to John. And then we read from
Yeah.
the beginning or however we're gonna do it. Wouldn't it be smarter to stop right there and then just go to John and start reading John to see if it matches? Because if we keep going,
We can.
we're gonna have to
We
remember
can.
all of that.
We can. In the beginning, it's going to match. That's the thing. It's at the end when it actually changes up.
Oh, close to the end. Like the end of
Yeah.
Matthew 28 or what?
It's during the time where he gets resurrected, as far as I remember.
Yeah, that's Matthew 28.
So
Where's the list that you got?
The list is I can send you the link. But this has got nothing to do with what I'm currently talking about. Let's see if I can post it. I've now closed the YouTube.
Because if I can see it as well, maybe that'll help us shorten it up.
No, the list that I've got has got nothing to do with what I'm currently reading. The list that I found was on Reddit with basic Bible contradictions. In terms of the one statement was God is jealous, and that's in Exodus 20 verse 5, and then the contradictory statement is Proverbs 6 verse 34. God is void of jealousy. It's stuff like that where people take everything out of context, and then they've got an issue with the contradictions in that way. But I'll post it in the YouTube chat so you can check it out later if you want.
Okay, so the one you're currently doing, you got to read all the way from 27 to 28, and then go to John and read how much of John?
26 to 28 in Matthew, and then John, I can't remember what it was. It was till the end where he gets crucified and resurrected. Do you think that's too long? Should we rather not do that, or what do you?
You said you got to leave at like 7:30. What time is it now?
It's 10 to 7. 10 minutes to 7.
So you got like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
We probably ain't gonna get much done, but hey, if you want to keep reading it, because you'll probably get through this chapter, you'll probably finish about 7:10. Because you still got to read. Huh?
Let's see if we can find. Let's see if we can find the timeline online. Maybe that'll make it faster. So let's see, Matthew.
I'm fine with it though, but you know, we just get what we can get.
Of death, burial, and resurrection, and then let's try John. Burial and resurrection.
Matthew 28 is only 18 verses, so at least if you did read all of it, you wouldn't have that much to read. And you was almost like halfway done with Matthew 27, so if you want to finish reading it all, you can.
Okay, 1 second. Time around to.
Hold on, I'll do that. Ding, 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 ding. Oh man, that's what I'm talking about right there.
Do you have where the death, burial, and resurrection takes place in John? Oh, there it is. I think it's John 19. Let's find out.
What you say about that?
1 second. Let's try John 19.
Oh,
Let's see. Prescription. I hope I don't skip anything.
now if you want, you can finish Matthew 27 and 28.
Yeah, I just saw now John is going to be quite long to try and go through everything.
Okay.
This is one of those studies where you sit and draw out timelines to try and get everything correct. So this might take a lot longer than I thought it might.
Well, go for it.
Okay, let's see. So where did we end in Matthew 27? Okay, we finished the soldiers that mocked Jesus. Okay. Okay, I'm going to start from verse 32 of Matthew 27.
All right.
As they were going out, they met a man from Cyrene named Simon, and they forced him to carry the cross. They came to a place called Golgotha, which means place of the skull. There they offered Jesus wine to drink, mixed with gall, but after tasting it, he refused to drink it. When they had crucified him, they divided up his clothes by casting lots, and sitting down, they kept watch over him. Above his head, they placed the charge written against him: "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." 2 rebels were crucified with him, one on his right and one on his left. Those who passed by hurled insults at him, shaking their heads and saying, "You who are going to destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself. Come down from the cross, if you are the Son of God." In that same way, the chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the elders mocked him. "He saved others," they said, "but he can't save himself. He is the King of Israel. Let him come down now from the cross, and we will believe in him. He trusts in God. Let God rescue him now if he wants him. For he said, 'I am the Son of God.'" In the same way, the rebels who were crucified with him also heaped insults on him. From noon until 3 in the afternoon. From noon until 3 in the afternoon, darkness came over the land. But 3 in the afternoon, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" When some of those standing there heard this, they said, "He's calling Elijah." Immediately one of them ran and got a sponge. He filled it with wine vinegar and put it on a staff and offered it to Jesus to drink. The rest said, "Now leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to save him." And when Jesus had cried out again in a loud voice, he gave up the spirit. At that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from the top to the bottom. The earth shook, the rock split, and the tombs broke open. The bodies of many holy people who had died were raised to life. They had come out of the tombs after Jesus' resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared to many people. They came out of the tombs. Anyway, when the centurion and those with him who were guarding Jesus saw the earthquake and all that had happened, they were terrified and exclaimed, "Surely he was the Son of God." Many women were there, watching from a distance. They had followed Jesus from Galilee to take care for his needs. Among them were Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of Zebedee's sons. As evening approached, there came a rich man from Arimathea named Joseph, who had himself become a disciple of Jesus. Going to Pilate, he asked for Jesus' body, and Pilate ordered that it be given to him. Joseph took the body, wrapped it in clean linen cloth, and placed it in his own new tomb that he had cut out of the rock. He rolled a big stone in front of the entrance of the tomb and went away. Mary Magdalene and the other Mary were sitting there opposite the tomb. The next day, so this is another timeline indicator. The next day, the one after preparation day, so preparation would be Friday, because Sabbath would be on a Saturday. So the next day, the one after preparation day, the chief priests and the Pharisees went to Pilate. Sir, they said, we remember that while he was alive, that the deceiver said, after 3 days I will rise again. So give the order for the tomb to be made secure until the 3rd day. Otherwise, his disciples may come and steal the body and tell people that he has been raised from the dead. This last deception will be worse than the first. Take a god, Pilate answered. Go make the tomb as secure as you know how. So they went and made the tomb secure, putting a seal on the stone and posting the god. Okay, let's just make note of that. So that was Matthew 27, verse 62. Matthew
27, 62.
62 is one of the timeline indicators. That
I
says
just put
the
it in
next
the
day.
chat, so we'll have it. It's on the
Say again?
YouTube chat, like in the comments. I just put it in the comments, so we'll have that verse there.
Cool. So that was the indicator was the next day, the one after the preparation day. So in other words, that would be the Sabbath. You agree?
Do I agree about what?
Do you agree that the next day would have been the Sabbath?
I wasn't following the timeline enough.
Okay, so it says in verse 62, it says the next day, the one after preparation day, the chief priests and the Pharisees went to Pilate. Do you agree that then the next day would then be the Sabbath, if preparation day is the Friday?
Yeah.
Okay, so it could be, that's the one option, is that it's the Sabbath, and then the other option is that it's a preparation day for one of the feast days.
Okay.
Okay, so that there's two options there. So it could be preparation day for the feast of for Passover. I know that Jesus already had Passover, but that was with his disciples. So I believe, so that just to set the stage of what this conversation is about, is that I believe that there were two timelines that they followed. I believe that there was or two calendars that they followed. I believe that the Pharisees followed their calendar, and that the disciples of John the Baptist, who then became the disciples of Jesus, were following a different calendar, and I believe that calendar's name was the Zadok calendar. And I believe that's why we've got two different timelines in Matthew and in John, because the one is looking at it from the perspective of the Pharisees' calendar, and the other one's looking at the perspective from John the Baptist calendar, or the Zadok calendar. So this is what I'm trying to figure out now at the moment, which is why we're going through this. So the two options here is either it's preparation day for the weekly Sabbath, or it's preparation day for the Passover. But the Passover for the Pharisees, not for Jesus, because they've already had theirs.
Okay, now you got 28 minutes, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I kind of doubt you got enough time to read all of John. You got to read all of John 13, right?
Let's see if we can kind of skip to the end, but let's just quickly finish this part, and then we can see how much we can get through.
Oh, you
There
didn't
might
finish.
need to be a part 2.
Okay, just so you know, John has 38 verses. So you
Yeah.
may be able to do it, but like after that, we ain't gonna have much time to talk about hardly anything.
Okay, let's see. Where do we end here? Okay, so we finished 27. Let's go to 28 of Matthew.
Oh, dang, you ain't finished 28? Oh, man. Okay, go
Okay,
ahead.
right. So it says here, after the Sabbath at dawn on the first day of the week. So after the Sabbath at dawn on the first day of the week. So that means it's Sunday. You understand?
First day of the
Okay.
week. No, go ahead.
Okay. Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to look at the tomb. There was a violent earthquake, for an angel of the Lord came down from heaven, and going to
Wait,
the tomb. Say again?
not necessarily Sunday, depending on, because depending on when they celebrated the Sabbath. Some people go by Friday night to Saturday night. So I'm no
So it says
expert.
here, it says after the Sabbath at dawn on the first day of the week. So it says the first day of the week, which would be, if, it doesn't matter if they started in the beginning of the day or the end of the day, whatever. It says on the first day of the week, which means it's Sunday. Do you follow?
We can go with that. Go ahead.
Okay. Where am I now with this? Where would I end? Lord came down. Okay. There was a violent earthquake, for an angel of the Lord came down from heaven, and going to the tomb, rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his clothes were white as snow. The guards were so afraid of him that they shook and became like dead men. Uh, the angel said to the woman, "Do not be afraid, for I know that you are looking for Jesus, who was crucified. He is not here. He has risen, just as he said. Come and see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell his disciples, he has risen from the dead, and is going ahead of you into Galilee. There you will see him. Now I have told you." So the woman hurried away from the tomb, and afraid, yet filled with joy, and ran to tell his disciples. Suddenly Jesus met him. "Greetings," he said. They came to him, clasped his feet, and worshipped him. Then Jesus said to them, "Do not be afraid. Go and tell my brothers to go to Galilee. There they will see me." Okay, so at this point, Jesus has already been resurrected. So we've already figured that part out. So this was on the Sunday. So he met Mary and the other Mary on Sunday. Let's just make a note of that. Meet Mary. And that was Matthew 28, verses. That's right in the beginning, verse 1. Okay, let's switch to John. Let's see. I'm going to read from John. Let's just see the end of 18 quickly.
John 13, what?
I'm probably going to read John 19 to make it quicker. I hope I don't miss anything, but let's just quickly see if John 18 has anything. I'm just quickly scanning through some of the previous verses to see if I'm not missing anything.
You got me interested in the topic. We also got somebody in the chat talking too, so I want to interact with them. When we get a chance. Josiah, are you still there, by the way? Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
So I'm just looking to see if we're not missing anything when we skip to 19.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's see what's happening here. 15. Okay, I'm going to read 13 and then we can skip to 19 after that. I think that'll probably be the most comprehensive without missing out too much of the timeline. Okay. Now before the feast of Passover, Jesus, knowing that his hour had come, Now before the feast of Passover, Jesus, knowing that his hour had come, that he would depart from this world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. And during supper, the devil having already put into
reading
the
that?
heart of Judas. This is John 13.
Okay. Go ahead. Yours sound different than mine. Keep going though.
I can change versions. What version would you like?
No, go ahead. It just didn't. I couldn't keep up with it. Keep
Okay.
going.
Where am I now? And during supper, the devil having already put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon, to betray him. Jesus, knowing that the Father had handed all things over to him, and that he had come forth from God, and was going back to God, got up from supper, and laid his outer garments outside, and he took a towel and tied it around himself. Okay, so this is during the Passover that they were keeping. So let's just keep that in mind. So that's that part. Okay, let's skip the washing of the feet. Okay, I think let's skip to 19. I don't think there's much information we've got over 13 now. Okay, so 19. So Pilate then took Jesus and had him flogged, and the soldiers twisted together a crown of thorns, placed it on his head, and put a purple cloak on him. And they repeatedly came up to him and said, "Hail, King of the Jews," and slapped him in the face again and again. And then Pilate came out again and said to them, "See, I am bringing him out to you, so that you
What
will
chapter
know that
you on?
This is 19. Sorry, so we're going to skip to
Oh,
19.
you in chapter 19?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why. So chapter 19, what verse?
I started at verse 1. I can skip that if you want.
No, but where you at now?
Good question. I was at verse 4, I believe. Yeah.
So you went to, I thought you said you read from like 13 and then you was going to skip the 19.
I did read 13, chapter 13, and then I skipped to John 19, and I'm now at verse 4.
You got me all confused. All right. So you on John 19, verse 4.
I'm trying to get it done as quickly as possible, trying to like find the plot points, if you will.
But are you on John 19, verse 4?
Yes, I'm about to read verse 4 again.
All right, go
ahead. And then Pilate came out again and said to them, "See, I am bringing him out to you, so that you will know that I find no grounds at all for charges in his case." Jesus then came out, wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe, and Pilate said to them, "Behold the man." So when the chief priests and the officers saw him, they shouted, saying, "Crucify, crucify." Pilate said to them, "Take him yourselves and crucify him, for I have found no grounds for charges in his case." Then the Jews answered him, "We have a law, and by that law he ought to die, because he made himself out to be the Son of God." Therefore, when Pilate heard their statement, he was even more afraid, and he entered the praetorium again and said to Jesus, "Where are you from?" But Jesus gave him no answer. So Pilate said to him, "Are you not speaking to me? Do you not know that I have authority to release you, and I have authority to crucify you?" Jesus answered him, "You would have no authority over me at all if it had not been given to you from above. For this reason, the one who handed me over to you as the greatest sin. As a result of this, Pilate made efforts to release him, but the Jews shouted, saying, "If you release this man, you are not a friend of Caesar. Everyone who makes himself out to be king opposes Caesar." Therefore, when Pilate heard these words, he brought Jesus out and sat down on the judgment seat at the place called the Pavement, but in Hebrew, Gabbatha. Now it was the day of the preparation for the Passover. So this is where it gets interesting. So we see Jesus already had Passover with his disciples. You agree with me?
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? So he's already had Passover with his disciples.
In Matthew, yeah.
Exactly. And in fact, in John 13, we already saw that as well. He already had Passover with his disciples. Say again?
Because I didn't know what you was reading. I couldn't follow you. So I didn't hear. If you read it, then you read it, but I didn't hear it.
Well, you can go to. Well, let's just put in this one. Where did we read this now? This was John 19 verse 14. We can get back to this again. So John 19 verse 14. Let's go to John 13 again, and we can read that first part again, so you can follow that up what I was saying.
From verse 1?
Yes, verse 1. Now before the festival of the Passover, Jesus knew that the hour had come to depart from this world and go to his Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. The devil had already put it in his heart, put it in the heart of Judas, son of Simon Iscariot, to betray him. And during supper, Jesus, knowing that his Father had given all things into his hands, and that he, where am I now? So you scrolled and I missed it. Maybe I was just reading from my side. And that he had come from God and was going to God, got up from the table, oh man, you scrolled again.
Are you reading from mine?
I tried reading from yours now, but it's clearly not working for me.
I thought you was reading from another one. I was just skimming it.
Okay, let me just go back. Let's just rather read it from my side. It's gonna be easier. Jesus, knowing that the Father had handed all things over to him, and that he had come forth from God and was going back to God, got up from supper and laid his outer garments aside, and he took a towel and tied it around his waist. And then we've got the passage about him washing the feet, and then so Jesus predicted his betrayal in Matthew at the Passover that he was keeping with his disciples. So from verse 21, so John 13 verse 21, it says, "When Jesus had said these things, he became troubled in the spirit and testified and said, 'Truly, truly, I say to you that the one of you will betray me.' The disciples began looking at one another at a loss to know of which one he was speaking. Lying back on Jesus' chest was one of his disciples whom Jesus loved. So Simon Peter nodded to his disciples and said to him, 'Tell us, who is it whom you're speaking?' And then simply leaned back on Jesus' chest and said to him, 'Lord, who is this?' Jesus then answered, that man is the one of whom I shall dip the piece of bread and give it to him." Okay, so the reason why I'm reading this now is this establishes that this actually took place. The supper that they're speaking about in John verse 1 is the Passover that we read in Matthew. So that had already taken place. Are you following?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so when we then go back to John 19, what did we say it was? Verse 14, right? I think it was verse 14. John 19, verse 14, it says, "Now it was a day of preparation for the Passover." And that was when he was already, he was about to be crucified. So on the preparation day for the Passover, he was about to be crucified. And that's fascinating because Jesus already had his Passover, and they would have kept it on the correct appointed time, which tells me then that while someone else might say this is a contradiction, I believe that there were two different timelines. So this is the preparation for the Passover for the Jews or the Pharisees, if you want to put it that way. And then Jesus and his disciples already had their Passover on the correct day, according to the Zadok calendar, or the calendar that John the Baptist would have followed. Do you understand the contradiction that I'm talking about?
Hear what you're talking about.
Do you have any theories?
Yeah, but I don't know. I never looked into this one, so I'm curious what the Greeks say. I'm curious what different manuscripts say. Is it a textual variant? Is it supposed to be the preparation of the Passover? But I don't know yet. See, that's what I was thinking about. The Passover lasts a week.
Well, the Passover technically lasts one day.
I know, but they celebrate it for a week.
Unleavened bread lasts for a week, yes.
It's around the same time.
Yeah, the unleavened bread starts the day after Passover, yes.
The week. That's what I'm talking about. It's all together. Like if you read when Passover came in, they did the main Passover the first day, but they did the unleavened bread a week, and it went with Passover. So,
but how do you prepare for Passover? How do you prepare for Passover? How do you have a preparation day for Passover if your Passover meal has already taken place?
Now, I'm not saying that that's right, but what I'm thinking about is the week, because it's a whole week, not just. It's mainly one day, but it's a whole week that you gotta go through the festival or feast. It's like two feasts combined in a week, if I'm not mistaken. But that's what I was thinking about, and that one said a week. It added a week in it, so that made me think. And it even translates it a little different, but
yeah, the Amplified does translate a bit different most of the time.
Yeah, okay. But you can keep going.
So in Leviticus, we can clarify that. So if you go to Leviticus 23.
Wait, hold on. Look at this. This one don't even say it. It just say about 6 o'clock in the morning on Friday of the Passover festival. It doesn't even say anything about the preparation. It just says on Friday for the Passover festival. Man, I like that because it's a week.
But why would you translate it like that? That seems like it's very different from all other translations, which makes you want to look at the original Greek then.
Yeah, but we're running out of time, so you might want to keep reading. I don't know if you can get to where you're trying to get, or we got to go.
Well, let's look at it, because you've got a question regarding the Passover in terms of the order of things. So I'm going to go to Leviticus 23 and just quickly read from verse 4. These are the Lord's appointed festivals, the sacred assemblies you are to proclaim at the appointed times. The Lord's Passover begins at twilight on the 14th day of the first month. On the 15th day of that month, the Lord's festival of unleavened bread begins. In other words, the unleavened bread begins the day thereafter. So the Passover is only on one day. Unleavened bread is then the day thereafter, up until a week later. So let's read that. So on the 15th day of the month, the Lord's festival of unleavened bread begins. For 7 days you must eat bread. made without yeast. On that first day, hold a sacred assembly and do not do regular work. For 7 days, present a food offering to the Lord, and on the seventh day, hold a sacred assembly and do no regular works. In other words, the first day is the Sabbath, and the last day is the Sabbath, or an assembly. But the very beginning, on the 14th day, is the Passover. That's how Leviticus 23 puts it out. So that translation is a bit weird when it says Passover week. It's yes, the first day is Passover, then thereafter is the first day of unleavened bread, and then the rest of the week. So that's a bit of a weird way of translating it. So the point I'm trying to make is Jesus already had the Passover, and then the Jews had their Passover later on, which means there's two different calendars we're working from here.
It could be possible, but keep going.
Well, that's pretty much all I had. We could probably continue reading. Where was it? Verse 14.
Yeah, go ahead if you got some more.
Do
you got some more in John?
I'm just quickly reading to see if there's anything else that we might have missed here. Okay, I'm just going to continue reading from John 19, verse 14, where we left off. Now it was the day of preparation for the Passover. It was about the 6th hour. And he said to the Jews, "Look, your king." So they shouted, "Away with him, crucify him." Pilate said to them, "Shall I crucify your king?" The chief priests answered, "We have no king except Caesar." Okay, so that's not really helping much in terms of the timeline. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. I don't have any other explanation besides the fact that we're looking at two different timelines. I think there's in verse 31, there's more. It says, "Now then, since it was the day of preparation to prevent the bodies from remaining on the cross on the Sabbath, for that Sabbath was a high day." Okay, so there we get a clue there as well. So if the Sabbath was a high day the next day, we're looking at the day of unleavened bread, because that was a high Sabbath, which we read in Leviticus 23 now. So the day after Passover would then be the festival of unleavened bread.
Mm-hmm.
Are you following?
Just keep going.
Anyway, so it says the Jews requested of Pilate that their legs be broken and the bodies be taken away. So the soldiers came and broke the legs of the first man and of the other who was crucified with him. But after they came to Jesus, when they saw that he was already dead, they did not break his legs. Yet one of the soldiers pierced him in the side, and immediately blood and water came out. And he who has seen has testified, and his testimony is true, and he knows that he is telling the truth, so that you also may believe. For these things took place so that scripture would be fulfilled. Not a bone of him shall be broken. And again, another scripture says, they will look at him with whom they pierced. Now after these things, Joseph of Arimathea, being the disciple of Jesus, but a secret one for the fear of the Jews, requested of Pilate that he might be taken away, that he might take away the body of Jesus. And Pilate granted permission. So he came and took away his body. Nicodemus, who had first come to him by night, also came, bringing a mixture of myrrh and aloes, about 100 litras weight. So they took the body of Jesus and bound it in linen wrapping with the spices, as is the burial custom of the Jews. Now in the place where he was crucified there was a garden, and in the garden was a new tomb, in which no one had yet been laid. Therefore, because of the Jewish day of preparation, since the tomb was nearby, they laid Jesus there. Okay, so they were still preparing on that day. So it's of my opinion that the next day would have been a day of unleavened bread then for the Jews. Does that make sense? So in other words, there's two days separated. So Jesus had his Passover with his disciples. So the Passover takes a place at in the evening. So after the sun has gone down, the Passover then takes place. That night, he went out with his disciples and was arrested. The next day, he only had his trial, where everyone was shouting at him and accusing him and that sort of thing. And then thereafter, he was having he was resurrected. So, and on that day when he was being crucified, that was preparation day for the Jews. So that evening, technically, they would be keeping the Passover thing, as far as I understand. And then thereafter is the day of unleavened bread, which is why they didn't want him on the cross. That's my opinion. I don't know how you feel about that. Say again?
Yeah, man, we got to do a part 2. I heard about this. I know you got to go, but if I can get this book out of my storage unit for the next time we do this, I remember it was something about 2 Passovers and some timeline, but I didn't fully get into the book and the guy's understanding because I couldn't follow it. But it's 7:30 your time, right?
It is 7:30. I can probably do another 5 minutes or so, maybe 10. It depends on if my children get unruly.
Well, we can do the outro so that way we can get ready to get you out of here. But I think, man, next time I can try to get that book and see if there is a thing with 2 Passovers and some sort of other timeline or whatever. Because I did buy a Bible about that, but I just never got into it. I never followed what he was talking about. So there is something to it, but I don't know.
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
definitely a bit weird. But so that's what we were speaking about earlier. We were speaking about the other day. We were speaking about true contradictions in the Bible, and I couldn't find any. And this is the only one I could find, which was a bit weird. But the fact that Jesus had already eaten the Passover and the Jews were preparing for Passover, so that was the only thing that I could find that was a bit odd. But I think it's a bit of a clue. I think that these things have been placed there for us to seek out, so that we can kind of figure out the truth about, first of all, the timeline, but also secondly, it makes you dig, and when you start digging, you start finding things. This, for example, helped me find the calendar that was in the Dead Sea Scrolls. And I believe the calendar of the Dead Sea Scrolls, where we find the Book of Enoch and Jubilees, or parts of Jubilees. No, it's the whole Jubilees. It's part of the Book of Enoch. But anyway, that's not the point. We find the calendar buried with the Dead Sea Scrolls, and that's the Zeta calendar. And I believe that's what John was actually following, because the area where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found is near the area where John had his ministry. So it's my opinion that the Dead Sea Scrolls are actually the library, if you will, of John the Baptist, or the community around John the Baptist. I don't know if you believe the same thing.
No, I don't know.
What's your opinion of the Dead Sea Scrolls?
I mean, they can be good.
But you read Enoch, don't you?
Yeah. I read a lot of that, but let me read the definition of contradiction. I should have started with this, but
sure.
So at least we can get this in here, because I hear this all the time, but I don't think I ever looked it up myself. The combination of statements, ideas, or features of a situation that are opposed to one another. Person, thing, or situation in which inconsistent elements are present. So yeah, now that we got that out of the way, we try to keep that in mind, but should have started with that.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even though we knew it, I just wanted to get the definition because it could have helped.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Now, check this one out. It says a proposition, statement, or phrase that asserts or implies both the truth and falsity of something.
Yeah. So would
Now,
you consider this a contradiction or not?
I wouldn't say it is because I don't fully understand yet, but after
Yeah.
digging, I think by that definition, it can definitely help us. Um, what do you call it? Resolve it. Like call it what it is or whatever you want to. Because I've heard about something like that, but I never fully looked into it.
Yeah.
Now that you brought it out, I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll read over it and see is it really
Yeah,
what
it's
it's.
one of those things. It's one of those things that kind of seems like a contradiction at first glance because you're like, hold on, they've already had Passover, so how are they preparing for Passover a day or two later? Um, but then when you start looking into it, you start realizing that hold on, there isn't actually a contradiction. It's just it's literally two different timelines. It's two different calendars that they would have been following, in my opinion. Um,
Yeah,
and the
that
cool
could be the
thing about
case.
say again.
I said, yeah, that could be the case.
Um, in my opinion, um, the Zadok calendar might be easier one to try and fit in here because the interesting thing about the Zadok calendar is that it all the appointed times always take place on the same day. So if it's on a Wednesday this year, it's going to be a Wednesday the next year, and 50 years from now, it's always going to be on a Wednesday, for example. So we
Sounds
can
like the
then,
Enoch calendar.
yes, the Zadok calendar is the Enoch calendar.
Uh,
Um, yeah, so that's the 364-day calendar.
mm-hmm.
And so what's cool about that is we can then kind of dissect this and try and figure out, okay, so if Jesus was following the Enoch calendar, then you can kind of figure out by the day. I mean, we've got one cool timeline signifier in John 20 where it talks about how Mary and the other Mary were able to were, saw him after he was resurrected on the first day of the week. So you can kind of work your way back from there and try and figure out exactly what was going on and what calendar they were following. But yeah, that's a story for another day. I appreciate
Yeah.
your time. That was good.
Yeah, man. Likewise, man. God willing, we can do it again and get back to it. And
Yeah,
I have to go to that storage unit and get that book, man.
yeah,
See what it's talking about. Because I bought that book, never did anything with it.
yeah. Sorry about all the reading, man. I didn't prepare properly before the time, but I didn't have much time. We had quite a busy week. Um, yeah.
Man,
So the
good. At least we got to do it, man. I'm snowed in. I ain't even going to work tomorrow, so I'm gonna just be here doing some of the same old, same old.
yeah. Okay. So the key takeaway verses would then be Matthew 27, what said verse 62, and then John
62.
19, verse 14, I believe it was. Um,
Okay, I'll put that in the
yeah,
chat.
yeah.
John
You
19:14.
John 19:14, yes. That's the one where it says the preparation day for the Sabbath. You said there was someone else in the chat asking something. Did you
Oh
get to
yeah, I
ask?
think they left.
Who got left?
There was somebody talking about. Let's see, what did he say? Josiah. He was like, "Do you believe that contradiction in the scripture means that something is incorrect?" And I said, "We are investigating whether any contradictions are true. I don't know if I know of any contradictions, but we are here to talk about it." And then he said, "I always say that two things can both be right at the same time." And then he said, "I definitely believe that the Bible contradicts itself, but I don't think that means, well, he made a typo, but that means it is incorrect per se. Sabbath and Hebrew days are scheduled different. That's something to keep in mind." And then the last thing he said was, "You could look into how many times the rooster crows when Peter denies Jesus in all of the Gospels. It is a different amount of times in Mark than Matthew and John, I believe." So
Oh, I
that's
didn't know
all I
that.
said.
I was only three.
Yeah, I mean, we can look into that the next time if we got I don't know how much I don't know how much time we're gonna have, but we can look into that if we get time. But definitely we're gonna have to do a part two, God willing, because we won't even get to finish this one.
Yeah, that'd be cool. All right. Well, it's good chatting to you. There's another thing I want to chat to you about, but that'll be again, that'll be at a later time. It's we were speaking about um, if the Father has authority over angels, be they good or bad. Um, that's another thing we want to check out because we were speaking about how the Father commanded the evil spirit um, to torment Saul, King Saul. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I
So
think that's something you can.
what would we call that? Like, so I can leave a note so we can like come back to it.
Good question. Uh, authority
Something
over
like
evil. The Father's authority over evil, or questioning the Father's authority over evil. I don't know how you would, or investigating the Father's authority over evil. I don't know how you would want to phrase that.
okay. So maybe that I'll put topic maybe because when we look back in the chat, if we need to, that can give us a reminder. I just said the
Uh,
Father authority over evil topic. I didn't say it properly, but yeah, hopefully that does it.
yeah, I think that'll be quite an interesting one. Kind of ties into what we spoke about previously in terms of if the Father commanded the Watchers to come down to Earth
Hmm.
in
Yeah,
Jubilees.
because
Yeah,
I need to look deeper into that too.
yeah, we need to find that verse because we couldn't find it last time in Jubilees.
Hmm. I thought it was in chapter 6, verse 5. Well, God willing, we'll find it when it's time.
Cool, man.
But I don't want to keep you too long, man.
No worries. Thanks for your time, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. You too, man. God willing, we got to do it again.
Yeah, go well.
All right, man. So I see I got some people here. I mean, we was discussing contradictions. He had something I've never heard, so that was different. And I even bought a Bible on the same topic, but I never really got into it and seen and understood what the guy was talking about. But there was some Bible I bought because he was talking about it was two different timelines in Matthew. I think it was between John 13 and John 19 and Matthew 26 to 28. He was saying it was two different timelines for where they were celebrating the Passover. Like the first Passover was um, Jesus and his disciples celebrating, and the second one was the Jews celebrating it. And it was two different timelines, like they was going by two different calendars. And I was like, I don't know, that could be true, but I never thought about it and followed it and tried to see if that was the case. But I don't even remember seeing two different Passovers within that week. So yeah, this is possibly the first time I've seen that, if that is accurate. So that was different. So we definitely gonna have to do a part two at some point. See, I want to go get that Bible too. It's in the storage unit though. I have to go get that. I'm snowed in right now, so I can't go until snow melts. But when the snow melts, I'll get over there and get it, and then we can continue. Yeah, it's different. Man, I don't even want to continue talking about the so-called contradictions until we can get back together and go over it. But we didn't get a lot in because this was so long to read through. But I think overall, in the end, it'll be worth God will. I think I'll definitely learn something. So I'm gonna get out of here. I think I can eat and exercise now. I've been eating a lot. Let me get out of here. Oh man.